first of all, Kelly Schaffner with Waterlox, my brother Connor. We represent the fourth generation in our family business. Our great-grandfather invented Waterlox back in 1910. And by doing that, we married tung oil with resin and cooked it into a varnish. So what does that mean? Well, that means that basically you get kind of the best of both worlds. You get an oil with something that forms a film. And one of the things Connor is first going to show you, this is our traditional resin-modified tung oil, which is what the company was founded on. And we're going to show you on a piece of walnut just how much richer the color of the wood is going to get brought out. Some people call it chatoyance. Some people call it holographic. It just really brings out the natural color and beauty of the wood, especially hickory, anything that's a wide plank or hand scraped, things of that nature. So basically what it's doing is it's penetrating in and building up to a film with multiple coats. Today we're only going to do one coat because we don't have enough time in a half an hour to do more than one. So I just wanted to give you kind of a look for how that looks. This particular product is what you start all the projects with, and then if you use it all the way through, you get a medium sheen. We also have a satin version, which is lower in gloss, and we also have a high gloss, which kind of looks like a gym finish. So the next part of this panel, which Jason Elquist was nice enough to put together for us here, is white oak, and we are going to show our new buff-in tung oil. What we did was we took the tung oil and we color-infused it with color or pigment. And we took a look at what some of the colors are that you can't necessarily achieve with our resin-modified version because of its ambering. So for example, on this panel here, we have ebony at the top, our pickled white, our classic gray, natural, and then some of the other colors on the bottom. We're going to highlight, I think, classic gray, right? We're going to do classic gray on one side, and we're going to do natural on the other. So in our 107 years of doing this, we took a look at what was going on in the market, and there's a lot of European oil finishes coming into the US market. And we designed our colors somewhat after that, but with, you know, waterproofness that the tung oil lends. It's going to penetrate in. It's going to give you a matte finish, which you couldn't really achieve with our resin modified. And you can coat over it with other products. You can either coat over it with our buff-in finish, which goes with that line to get the matte finish, or you can coat over it with our resin modified. You can coat over it with urethane, water-based, whatever you want. But what we found was a lot of folks, yep, you can get started, yep. We're gonna basically put some on and put the buffing machine over top of it and start going with our American Sanders buffer. You want some more?
Sure.
Where you want it? So basically you're buffing this in until it's dry, and that's really the magic.
It's right next to it.
That's probably a lot, but so spread rate. A quart does 4,000 square feet.
Gallons.
I'm sorry, a gallon does 4,000 square feet. So a quart's going to do 1,000 square feet. The number of coats is one color coat. We have 11 colors. You can mix and match the colors together to get another color if you want. And then you're going to put the buff-in finish over top, somewhere between 2 to 3 coats depending on the species and the hardness of the wood. Basically, you're going to buff it in until it's dry. This is a 4100 maintenance pad by 3M. You can also water pop the wood before you do this to get a darker color as well. So this color, gray, would be much darker. I do have pictures of that. If you'd like to see that, I could send them to you, no problem.
You said 1K?
It's also one component, so basically what you have is what you put down. You're not adding any isocyanate catalyst to it or anything. This is penetrating into the wood and providing the waterproof foot traffic ability on it. Water resistant in 3 days of curing. And then the homeowner can maintain it on their own if they want. You just buff more into a spot or whatever they require, or you can set them up on a maintenance contract as well. Some people do that in the restaurant, commercial arena. They'll set them up on a contract to come back in and buff another coat in. Do I have any volunteers to put the natural on? Does anybody want to try it? Okay.
You gotta put that in another bottle. I don't have a tap for it.
So we have a volunteer to do that. We're going to switch the pad out.
Typically, we would just take like the
So the question was, how do you do the edging? So on a buffing pad, this 4100 maintenance pad, you pop out the center hole, and you can use that to hand buff the edges. Sure. Nope. Nope. You don't have to shake the finish. You do have to stir the color. The dry time for each coat is 24 hours, and that's because that's how long it takes the tung oil to cure and dry. And then the cure time, it's 3 days for your first waterproofness, 7 for full. Any other questions?
You can sit for a second. Some of the softer woods, you kind of want to go right away, but
let's see.
yeah,
11 colors, which I told you, and you can combine them for other colors. It was interesting when I was coming, I looked at what our most popular color was, and it was actually chestnut, which is which one? This one here, maybe? Which is the brown there in the middle. I thought it would have been one of the grays or the blacks, but
jiggle the handle back and forth and all that.
so the number of coats was the next question. Depending on the hardness of wood, you're going to do somewhere between 3 and 4 coats. The first coat is going to be your color coat, and then coat 2 and 3 or 2, 3, and 4 are going to be the finish if you're using the buff-in. Otherwise, you can go over it with something else and follow whatever they recommend. But if you're going to use the buff-in system all the way through and not overcoat it with something else, it's 3 to 4. And basically, you're driving the oil into the pores of the wood so that those are sealed and they can't take up any water. So there's no water spotting. Maintenance. It's going to kind of depend on use. Again, you just buff more in. It's not going to be bulletproof like our resin modified products are, because it's not forming a film. There's no resin in it like we have in our resin modified to act like a layer. It's more penetrating in, and that's why you have more of a matte finish as well. Any other questions? Anybody else want to come up and buff? I will also be traveling around with NWFA's intermediate sand and finish classes, so if you have yourself or anyone that's going to be going to those, I will be there. And what we normally do in those classes is learn about different finishes, so I let everyone basically buff it in, because it's not really magic at all. It's pretty easy to do. So again, you're just buffing it in until it's nice and dry, and then letting it dry overnight, and it'll give you a matte finish. Question? Do you have a question for me?
Yeah. So basically, we've kind of buffed in that first coat. There's no real working
I'm like,
time.
who's talking?
So if you got to go, it's not do 250 square feet, then come back with a clean pad and buff off the excess. You can do 500, 600, 800 square feet all in one shot, and then on your way out, you're going to buff off any excess that you get. So if you take a closer look at this, you can kind of see some spits here and there. So you kind of work yourself out of the room. Once you're done, clean pad or a fresh towel under a pad, pick up any excess, and then it's going to dry fine in that 24-hour period.
You can also flip the pad too.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, on Waterlox.com as well, we have the full guide. There will be a video up probably in the next 4 months-ish. The printed guide for all the resin modified varnishes is at Waterlox.com, or you email us. Actually, the technical questions go right to Connor. So that's, if you call for technical help, that's who you're actually talking to. Anything else I can answer? Any other questions? Hold on one second.
What color is that? I mean, that looks like
So that color there is natural.
No, I know it.
Oh, sorry. The other color is gray.
And you said that's
Classic
how many times
gray.
you got to do that?
So you do one color coat, and then you do the finish coats over top that are clear
Okay.
to get the colors that's on the board. And we do have we'll be coming out with a list and a showing of all the colors and how they look when they're finished as well. So again, it's made in the U.S. We're a little family business in Cleveland, Ohio, where we've been since 1910. So we're 107 years old. One of my jokes is the tung oil keeps us young. So this product again is the buff-in, and what we're most known for is our resin modified. So this allows us to offer something for the VOC areas, as well as something in the matte finish and color. It smells like tung oil. Yep, because the solvent content is really low. The VOC is less than 275. It's high solid, which is why we're buffing it in versus applying it with a Lambswool applicator, which is our normal application process with our resin modified product. And again, it's because you're pushing everything into the wood. So yeah, dry time between each coat is 24 hours, and you're going to come back with, if you're staying within the buff-in system, you're going to come back with the buff-in finish and basically apply the same thing. You're going to repeat the process. You're going to buff in around your edges and then buff in the field. So it's same thing, 24 hours. Next day, same thing, 24 hours. And if it's a hardwood, you're done at 3 total coats.
Yeah, you're also going to use less and less each time because you're really just looking to saturate that wood. So your first color, again, it's high solids. It's mostly tung oil in that first color coat. So you're still getting a lot of solids into the wood there. And then your subsequent coats is really saturating that wood. You're going to use less and less with each coat. You're going to get a higher spread rate out of that finish. And you're basically going to seal off every wood fiber. So no water, no stains, no additional marking or anything like that. Then your maintenance is that same product. Again, we've had very good luck with it in terms of that maintenance. Some contracts or depends on use mostly. But I have a heavy used section in my office, and my dog's water bowls are on and everything like that. And it's been a year and a half, and it still looks brand new, fresh, dry mop clean, and it's brand new.
And then we also manufacture a cleaner. If you didn't know, it's our cleaner concentrate. This mimics white vinegar and water. This can be used on our resin modified finishes as well as our buff-in finishes, and that's what we've also been using in the office on our panels. One of the other uses of our finish is wood countertops. I don't know if any of you have ever been asked to do one, but I have a countertop cleaner for those that's food safe, because the countertop is always a food safety question. And that comes in a spray. You can use it on any kind of countertop you want. Any other questions? Okay. Anything else to add? Again, Waterlox.com, info@waterlox.com. We're there Monday through Friday, and Connor even answers questions on the weekend. So, thank you very much.
Thank you.